welcome. I am Brittany Thomas.
And I am Jamiliah Smith. And this is the Everyday Girl Show. Welcome. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited too. I'm happy we're here on this beautiful, beautiful day.
Right?
What?
It's Juneteenth. If y'all don't know, we weren't actually scheduled to be on air today. And for months, I've been like, dang, I wish we could be on Juneteenth.
Yeah.
And look, it opened up. Manifesting.
Speak it into existence.
That's right.
Make that happen. Okay, well, I'm so excited. So what are we talking about today?
Okay, so with June being mental health awareness month for men,
yes.
Father's Day and Juneteenth. We have a pretty full show today. We're diving into what it means to support men emotionally and celebrate their growth.
Yes, I love that. And granted, it is the Everyday Girl Show, but
yes,
we do want to speak with our entire audience, which also includes men. So
absolutely.
I'm really excited about today's show.
They also deserve flowers.
They do.
Right?
They do. And this is their month. This is Mental Health Awareness Month for them. So
yes.
I think it's very pertinent that we spend this time talking about it. All right. Well, before we jump into that, happy Juneteenth, everybody.
Happy Juneteenth. What does this day mean to you?
Oh, okay. So for me, it literally is beautiful. It's a celebration of Black people, freedom.
Yes.
The opportunity for us to come together and celebrate that. I mean, the only thing is I'm not from Texas, but I have such an awareness of this day because my family is, my husband, my son. You know, I have family that live in Texas, and for this to be such a prominent day for them, I couldn't help but be a part of that too.
Well, let's talk about that just for a little bit. How you're not from Texas, but you're well versed in Juneteenth. And I've been in Texas for a long time and did not know about Juneteenth until I came to Austin in 2005, and even then I was still a little confused. So there's not a lot of knowledge, and that's why in these last couple of years, we've seen a lot of confusion while we're celebrating Juneteenth. Why is it a holiday? And I think it's important to really highlight this day so that everybody knows what it's about.
Yeah, I love that.
Right?
I love that. And honestly, we live in East Austin. So for the past
flavors,
10 years, we've been going to the Juneteenth parade on Rosewood. They're actually doing the parade right now.
And we're here.
Yeah, right. So
sacrifices, but
we'll be going. We'll be going to the celebration once we're done here. So
okay.
We'll still get to go.
And I live out in Manor, and on my way into the show today, I saw that they were setting up at Timmerman Park. That's where I'll be later this evening until 8:00. Yeah. They're doing a Juneteenth celebration in Manor. So I'm really glad to see not only Austin or East Austin, I'm glad to see that the entire community and surrounding communities are taking this time to celebrate.
Yeah, and I think that's new because for the longest, what I understand or what I knew, I could be wrong, don't quote me, but the one in Rosewood is the only one that I really knew about. But now they're doing it in Round Rock and Manor, even I believe Mueller also has an event as well.
But the Round Rock one next year. Next year I'm going to definitely they bring out some big names to celebrate. So and I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
If you miss Houston, if you live in Austin and you miss home, which is Houston, go to Round Rock for that Juneteenth celebration because it is full of Houston-based artists.
Yeah, I didn't get to go this year because the Carver Library, had an event as well. They have one every year.
Oh yes.
And, that one was really great too. So
that's good.
There's so many things. Juneteenth is just blowing up all over the place.
I know.
Okay, so jumping into Men's Mental Health Month, we just want to kind of kick it off with why it's so important for this conversation to be had. So why do you think it's important for us to be talking about men's mental health, specifically on this show?
I think that men's mental health gets the same attention, ironically, as Juneteenth. Yeah. You know, on surface level, we talk about it, but we don't really dive into why it's important. So the correlation there is fitting, and I'm glad that we're talking about both things today, is we want our men to feel seen, heard, just like us women. We want to be heard and feel seen, right? Yeah. So why is it that they don't deserve the same attention?
Right.
And that's important. We're raising young men that are going to be future leaders, or we want them to be prevalent in the community. We want them to own themselves and their identity. So we want them to be able to know who they are now and be secure in who they are now.
Yeah.
And as far as grown men are concerned, you know, let's offer some forgiveness, some grace, the same way that we want for ourselves. Because at the end of the day, we are all human. Man, woman, child, we all deserve the same respect and grace and support and security. So that's my spiel.
I love that.
Okay.
I love that. That's
so have you witnessed a man in your life actually prioritize therapy or emotional wellness? What is that looking like?
Honestly, it varies. I don't know too many men in my family that do physical therapy, right? Like not one, that's a different term, but the action of
I get
therapy.
what you're saying.
I do the physical therapy, but actual therapy. I honestly have not really witnessed it. But I have seen men in my life prioritize their well-being in ways that feel natural to them.
Right.
Like working out, right? Like
physical therapy.
Physical therapy.
In a sense, yes.
I remember my aunt she's a therapist as well, relationship therapist. And my husband and I used to go to her. And that was our form of like couples therapy. And that was a prioritization for the relationship. But not so much for like the individual person. So to be honest, I would always see them kind of separate from the family to kind of get that kind of alone time or like kind of like decompression. But yeah, I've never really seen it, which is sad. Which is really sad because every woman in my family has gone through something. Right.
Listen, one thing we're going to do is go sit on somebody's couch. Okay.
Or at least talk to a girlfriend about it.
Talk to a girlfriend, and now they have it to where you can do the telemed, so you can do your. So listen, we'll dial that number. We'll log in really quick. Yeah. State our grievance. Right. But yeah, men, I don't really see, and you know, me and my husband putting my business out there. We've done couples therapy, but shout out to the men who at least do couples therapy, because not only are you subjecting your feelings to your significant other, but now if the therapist is a woman, now you got two women. Right. Yeah. You're subjecting yourself to, and that's really big to open yourself up. Yeah. To whatever scrutiny you think that you're facing. Right?
And the thing about therapy, well, it's supposed to be unbiased, right?
Supposed to be.
Yeah. So even if it's a woman or a man, like you're going in there with the perception that this person is going to be objective to us individually. Right. And then just really only talk about the situations or the relationship. And I think most people, or I guess people who are biased to therapy, think that they're about to go in there and get judged.
That's right.
You know,
that's absolutely correct.
There's a little stigma around it, but yeah, to answer your question, I really didn't really see it. Honestly, I wish I did. I really wish I did. But let's get a little personal. I know we don't want to put all our business out on the radio. Okay. But I think this is a nice little tiptoe into it. So, did you ever grow up seeing the men in your family or in your life like really express emotion, right? Outside of anger and happiness, like express how they were feeling?
No. That's the answer. Just no.
That's so sad.
Not one bit. I think that, well, number one, as a child or a young teenager or as a young adult, it just wasn't on my radar. Like mental health was not a thing that I thought about at that age. But then like me today looking back, I'm like, no, there's not a memory of like joy, full, genuine happiness. There's maybe one male in my family that expressed anger and frustration, but not in a healthy, productive way. So unfortunately, that's just not something that I saw growing up.
Yeah, same for me. It's funny because I grew up with my grandparents. So my grandfather, at a really young age, he unfortunately was somewhat of an alcoholic. And about the age of around like 12, he stopped drinking. But while he was an alcoholic, he was very expressive.
Wait, pause. You said at 12 he stopped?
Well, at my age of 12.
Oh, okay.
At my age of 12.
Thank you.
And then when I became 12, he just kind of stopped talking. Like he just was very silent. So the alcohol allowed him to be very expressive and he was joyful and, you know, wasn't an angry drunk, but I just felt like once he stopped drinking, he just felt like he couldn't speak. And that's kind of what I experienced.
Very interesting.
But let's jump to, I think we have a caller. Do we have a caller? Oh, okay. We'll call him back.
Call back.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, do you think that there is a generational shift happening Are men still carrying those silent battles?
So like now, like generationally now from like where we grew up?
Yes.
I do. I really do. I think I was talking to my best friend about this, like a few months ago. I feel like the kids now are way more sensitive and okay with expressing how they feel than we were as kids.
Yeah,
and
congratulations on that,
were.
little ones.
Cause I mean, I remember having a friend of mine or a family member tell me just about my son. And he's like, you know, you don't want your kids to grow up soft, right? Like, do you want him to grow up being soft or whatever? And I'm like, well, I don't want him growing up being hard where he doesn't feel like he
What's
can
the alternative?
express himself. You know, I grew up very hard, not being able to feel comfortable expressing myself. And no, I didn't want that for him. And I don't know if that's a conscious effort why the kids are a lot more expressive in how they feel based on the parenting style, or that's just a generational
I was just
thing?
thinking we're fostering that type of environment for them.
Yeah.
And maybe we don't even know it.
Yeah.
But because we're not, you know, we are their therapist. We are their nurse. We're their doctor. We're their shoulder. We're everything to them. So
yeah,
I know for me, I hug on my kids a lot. I kiss on them a lot. I love you 100 times a day. And yesterday I was like, I do this a lot. I don't remember getting all this when I was a kid. Not that it was a bad thing. I was okay as a kid, but like, my goodness, I love on them in a way that I wasn't loved on. Which is really strange because I'm not a hugger like that. Like, I don't like all that, but I think that we're fostering that type of environment.
Yeah. I think so too. I mean, my son gets all the hugs and kisses. And granted, I got hugs sometimes. My grandmother wasn't the like lovey-dovey. She showed her love and like how she provided for us. But I am conscious.
Would you like to talk to the ladies? I can put you on.
Is feeling that and he sees that and he feels comfortable doing that with others. So I think there's a consciousness there, but I do feel like it is a generational shift too. Because even like my niece, she speaks up way more. She's like way more vocal about what's going on with her and how she's feeling. And my nephews, like they don't mind crying or like, you know, saying like, I don't feel comfortable with that. You know, like I'm cool off of that. And back in the day, that peer pressure, people weren't saying that. They were trying to like downgrade you or downplay you for expressing how you feel. So I do feel like it's happening. It's probably minute, but I feel like it's happening.
Yeah, we're in between. The kids aren't being raised to be soft, quote unquote, but nor are they being raised to be hard. We're like in the, you know, there's a nice balance there.
And I think we're in a time where that is more supported too. Just community-wise, right?
Absolutely.
Like, with people being able to express themselves, their sexuality different, you know, just kind of how they show up in the world. I do feel like there's more inclusive spaces now than there's ever been.
I agree.
So even with men's mental health, I do feel like that conversation, even though we're having it right now, has been being had more often now than it has in the past. So yeah, I do feel like generationally there's something happening. Will it stick? We'll see. Will it continue to grow? We'll see. But
we shall see.
So another question. So obviously we're talking about men, but like what roles do women play in helping men feel emotionally safe and making sure that this space is who they are enough? Like what can we do to do that?
That's a big question. And I think that I immediately look at myself and my husband because, of course, I'm living it. So I have that experience. And I had to go into this relationship, eventually marriage, to with the mindset of what do I want to provide to him and what does he need from me? Knowing a little bit about his background, you know, you take that into account. So when there are disagreements, you know, I make sure not to hit below the belt because, baby, I can. I mean, I have the weapons, right? But being conscious of what I say to him, how I say it. Now, there's sometimes we're not perfect, where, you know, it gets a little heated, but still I make sure that I don't hit below the belt. And I think that is a safety thing. And the same goes from him to me. And as far as like being his peace, I think that I take into account what does a peaceful home look like. And how do we build a peaceful home? It's by making sure that I'm at peace. If I'm not at peace, I can't give you peace.
Yeah.
If you're not at peace, you can't give me peace. So, again, this is with the man versus woman or man or woman thing. And I think that it's a human thing. Peace is a human right, that you can choose to take away from someone. Yeah. There are women who would rather, they are so used to dysfunction that if they don't have it, they don't know what's going on. Oh. That is, the peace is the dysfunction. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so if everything's good, then you start to sabotage because how dare things be calm right now? And you start to pick fights. But I think that at the end of the day, I'm my own peace. I set boundaries for that. And I highly encourage my husband to set boundaries, which he is not good at setting boundaries with me. And I'm like, why are you doing this if you don't want to do it? You are allowed to say no. I hope he's not listening to that, but he is allowed to say no. But just encouraging him to set boundaries is a great start for anybody. When you're in a relationship, you want those boundaries. You don't want people to always feel the need to be around you or be so clingy and attached to where you're trauma bonded or something like, I can't live without you. Yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
Okay.
You definitely can.
All right. Yeah. Be your own person. I encourage him to be his own person, set boundaries, find his own happiness. Yeah. He used to say, what would I do without you? And I say, live. Okay.
Yeah. I think that that's so important. I mean, to be completely honest, there were times in my life where a man's peace, like being his peace was never a priority. Like never. Obviously you have to evolve as a person.
To come into a lot of evolution.
And to be completely honest, men deal with a lot of rejection. They deal with it honestly on a daily basis, especially if you are supposed to be the hunter-gatherer and your assignment or your identity is attached to going out and getting. Mm-hmm. I'm in sales. Do you know how many no's I get when I have to go out and get the sale? So to think about men emotionally, if you're hearing no or being beat down or rejected every time you get out there, you can get real defensive with that, right?
Yeah.
And that affects you emotionally, right? You don't want to try anymore. You're not even going to attempt it because you don't want to be rejected. So being in spaces where you're with people who want to prioritize your peace or do that for you is really, really important in setting that standard and boundaries.
So how do we create a new standard where checking on a man's mental health becomes the normal, not labor? So, I have to be conscious sometimes, like, when's the last time that I did X, Y, Z or such and such, or ask him this particular question. Yeah. But that's just my mind. I try to make it more of a habit. Yeah. But how do we set that standard across the board? Whether a person is married or they're just dating or seeing someone, what's the standard?
So I think it's twofold. We can't expect, I don't want to put the expectation that it's my job to make sure that you feel supported. Like
100%.
It has to be yours. So if I'm asking you all the time, but you're not really in the energy of responding, then it's but so much I can do.
Right.
So setting the expectation that, hey, if something is going on with you, you can come to me and I will be receptive. So setting that expectation, I think, is how you initiate that standard. That I'm not going to shut you down.
That's good.
If you're coming to me. And then, yes, I will reach out to you. I will connect with you. I will check in on you. I don't know if it needs to be a daily basis thing. And I think that has to do with the individual and kind of y'all's standard. Like, is he a talker? He might not be a talker. Right. My husband's not a big talker. So for me, it's like I have to kind of see his mannerisms and say, like, okay, you look a little stressed. Let me check in with you. Or we'll have like a cadence where once a week we get to have a little come to Jesus moment.
Not the come to Jesus.
Tell me what's going on. But I think it has to be an individual thing. But I think the standard has to be, I am receptive. I am here to listen and I'm not going to shut you down.
Let me throw a wrench in there and say, what about men who are your friends? Because I think that a lot of times we assume that if a man is walking around, he's talking, he's smiling, that he's okay. So what can we do for our male friends to say, hey, I'm here for you? We're both married. Yeah. I have male friends. Yeah. I don't talk to them often. And I wonder if it's number one, because they think they can't because I'm married.
That's a little bit probably.
You know?
Yeah.
But I still want to be able to be a listening ear when they need it, because like you said, men carry a lot, and unfortunately that can end very badly.
Yeah. And it just goes back to checking in. Hey, and honestly, a check-in doesn't always have to be, hey, how you feeling? Right? Like, it can be, hey, I'm going to go.
It does not have to be
therapy. Do you want to come with me?
Right.
It could be a simple invitation. Like, oh, I'm going to pick up some shoes for the kids. Like, I just want to ride with me. And then invite that. Because a lot of them don't want to talk. Sometimes they just want to have somebody present with them. Or just an opportunity to then talk. But if you need sometimes, let's have a chat about what's going on with you and your mom. I heard the story. It's like, nah, bro.
Right.
I do not want to get into this.
I like that.
So I think sometimes you have to be, gentle with your approach. But I think it's just more about just connect. Like, hey, I want to see you. Why don't we just come over and, I got some food on the stove, or, we have a little barbecue or something. Just come pop in. And then you kind of go from there.
I don't know. I get a little offended. I have one friend that does not want to come to the house. Now, this actually is my husband's friend.
Yeah.
And I'm always asking about him. How's he doing? What's he been up to? Like, I want to make sure he's good, right? And I'm like, well, tell him to come to the house.
Real me.
He will not come to the house. I'm like, I'm not going to grill him. Number one, I probably won't say 2 words. Hey, and that's it. Let him have his time. But, I just want you to know, we want you to know that you should check on men just as much as you check on women.
Yeah.
It is very, very vital. I don't know, women are the backbone, men are the backbone, we're all the backbone.
I think we're
check
both.
on each other. Yeah. check on everybody.
Check on your people. Yeah.
Don't be biased.
Yes, very true. Okay. So we have an IG prompt. So somebody wrote into us and mentioned one thing. And I also want you guys to call in and let us know what you guys think. So what's one thing you wish the men in your life knew about taking care of their mental health? Call us. Phone number is 512-836-2887. Again, 512-836-2887. And come chat with us.
Please do. We did have an answer on Instagram.
Yeah.
Okay. Aaron says, I just want my husband to know he doesn't have to carry everything alone. Rest is not a reward. It is a right. And that sounds very generic, but guess what? It's the truth.
It is.
And it sounds generic because we keep saying it, because it's important for people to grasp and to understand.
Yeah. And why do we think that rest should be a reward for doing hard work?
Baby, I'm going to didn't I text you? I was like, I took a nap, child. Listen.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
Well, thank you, Aaron.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. But yeah, I think having rest should be a right, because you work so hard. Even if you don't work hard, right? You still should be able to get those moments to yourself to take a break.
Yeah. And another thing I want you guys to reflect on is, how do we support men who think asking for help makes them weak? Yeah. Okay. Because that's a problem. Everyone should be able to ask for help. So think about that as well.
Okay. All right. So now jumping over, we're going to hop into Father's Day. Father's Day was literally just Sunday.
Yes.
And we didn't really get a chance to do a show on it, but I did want to ask a question right before we're going to take a little break. How'd you celebrate Father's Day?
It's funny because my roof was literally blown off and my fence was blown down. So my husband had to go out there and clean up the mess. Like, it was a gust of wind that came through and destroyed. Like, people are on my roof right now. Like, at this very moment.
Yeah, Mother Nature said, "Ooh, you putting in work."
We did get a quick little lunch.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was chaotic, but it was okay. Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and take a quick little break, and we will be right back.
Don't go anywhere. All right, and we are back. Right before the break, I was talking about how my roof was blown away on Father's Day, but my daughter had a great idea to go out for lunch right before then. But then my husband had to pay for the meal. So he felt very gypped. I'll reimburse him for sure. Okay. So now we're talking about Father's Day just a little bit more and showing up for the dads in our lives. Brittany, what did fatherhood look like growing up for you? Was it nurturing, distant?
No, it was. It's so funny because I grew up with my grandparents, but I also grew up with my uncles and my brothers. So I had a little bit of fathering from everybody, My grandfather was a provider. He made sure that the bills were paid, that everybody, had everything that they needed. And that was that I know the man is going to take care of me kind of thing going on there. And then my brothers, they were, the ones who would take you out, who would, buy the things that we wanted, take us for ice cream.
Okay.
And do all the brotherly, and they were much older than us. So they were literally old enough to be our fathers. And then my uncles, my Uncle Dempsey, who lives here in Texas, he was a really influential father to me, in my older age, once I got into my 20s, with getting me my first car and making sure that, all of the things that would break get fixed around the house, or anything that I needed is taken care of. So I've had a nice little plethora.
You have a nice mix in there.
Mixed men. But as far as being taught how to be treated as a woman, that was the one part that I've kind of missed, especially at a young age, because my grandfather, he, was the provider, but him and my grandmother, they were much older when we came into the world. So I didn't really get to see the affectionate, the caretaking, outside of the financial responsibility. So that was one thing I honestly had to learn kind of on my own, which, that just kind of happens. But so I feel like I got a little bit of everything outside of that. But as far as present father figures, I had a lot of those. Very fortunate. Very fortunate to have had.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. So it was a good childhood. Have you ever seen your father in your life get really vulnerable or open up to how he's feeling?
No, my dad is very much he won't let you in. What you see is what you get. I'm going to say that, I hope he's not listening. I'm going to say that he masks a lot.
Yeah.
But one thing I've known about my dad is that he was a military man. Okay. That man loved the Army. Okay. He was in there for over 2 decades, and he will still talk your ear off about it today.
Yeah.
I would say the most vulnerable that, I've seen him is not actually in person. I've made it a task of mine to, not a task. It's not something that I have to do, but I made it more of my mission to be closer to my dad. So we talk on the phone a lot, and we have more intimate conversations now than we did when I was younger, and I'm learning a lot more about him. So vulnerable, I would not say, but he does, give me a little bit more about his background, which for him may be vulnerability.
Okay.
If that makes sense. That little inch may be a mile to him.
Yeah. And just to reference, you said that he was in the Army. And
yes.
That is a very, emotions are, from my understanding, are really shut down. They train you not to express much of that. So do you think he was like that before he got into the Army, or was he always kind of?
Funny enough, I think that how he is now is how he maybe has always been. The only way I would know different is if I asked one of my uncles or my aunts that grew up with them, because they will tell me the real.
Yeah.
From the 80s, from the 70s and the 80s, before he enlisted. They'll give me the real deal. So now I'm going to ask, was he always like this? But yeah, I think that in my mind, as far back as I can remember, he has been the same character.
Okay.
Right. So he's been masking for decades, y'all. No, I'm kidding.
So it seems like y'all have a different relationship now, and I think that comes about as you get older.
Yeah.
You kind of start taking that dad hat off and putting on the man person hat.
But he also has picked up that granddad hat, and I mean, that man's been wearing that faithfully. And I'm like, wait a minute. I didn't get ice cream all the time. What's going on here? But I think that's just grandparents in general.
Oh my gosh. Let's not even get into that, because these new grandparents out here, when they were our parents, they were not. Now they new grandparents.
I don't even want to talk about it. When we get to Grandparents' Day, because I think that's a thing now, we're going to talk about it. Yeah. And then we may need some therapy after that. But what's one thing we wish dads knew they were allowed to feel?
Oh, wow. I mean, all the feels, to be completely honest, but I think that it's just them feeling comfortable enough to be vulnerable around us and not feel that they're going to be judged. I think a lot of people don't want to be vulnerable or express how they feel because of other people's reactions to how that is.
Right.
And there's so much fear about, I don't want you to see me different. I don't want you to see me weak. I don't want you to see me or perceive me to be different than who I've always been to you. And if I'm crying or if I'm emotional, outside of anger, because I feel like I've seen a lot of anger, which anger is just sadness expressed differently.
Right.
But for them to be able to be vulnerable and express how they actually feel, and not just in the I'm sad, but like, what made you sad and why did that make you sad?
Right.
Is what I would love for more men, especially the men in my life, to feel comfortable enough to express without the fear of judgment. Because people, and then the thing is, I don't think you're always going to get it. Like, people just are so afraid that, oh, this person's going to say this or they're going to think this of me. It's like, oh, I didn't think.
Like, why are you playing out the scenario before it even plays out? Like you don't
give me some grace too. Like, let me respond to it in a way that, you know, is natural for me as well. But it might not always be that level of judgment. So I would love for them to feel free enough to express that outside of just anger.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. I think that's my hope. So why or how can we make space for emotional weight fathers carry, especially when it comes to a language that they don't necessarily understand or express?
Oh, you hit me with a very deep one. I think that making space is, again, like you said, setting the expectation or setting the foundation. I'll use the word foundation. That there's an open door for all of your emotions. Mm-hmm. There's also an open door for you to have space. Yeah. You know, sometimes, like you said, they don't want to talk. Yeah. So if you don't want to talk, that's fine. That's cool. I'll let you have your moment. I know a lot of times, not a lot, but sometimes I like make sure that the kids don't bother my husband or, you know, just if I can tell. Yeah. Because when you're married, you can tell. Yeah. Something's going on. And you ask, what's wrong? Mm-hmm. And then they say, nothing. Right. Nothing. I'm good. All right, kids, let's run to Walmart real quick. Let's, you know, it's just being able to read your person or a person, because I have several people. I'm like, okay, something ain't right. Yeah. But just being able to read the room, read the person, and just being able to offer what they need. Yeah. And sometimes I would get frustrated in the early phase of like, why won't you talk to me? Why won't you just tell me? I can help you. No, now, all right, you want to be on your own? You're on your own. It's not in that kind of way, but just really giving the space to either have space or have support. Yeah. You know? And that's the thing is, most men, well, at least the ones that I know, they don't like communicating, right? So they will do things that, you know, either suppress it or, you know, find other ways to express it. And that can be sometimes detrimental to their health, right? Because they don't have the language or equipped with, hey, let me express this so I can get it out of my body. I'm going to do other things to get it out of my body. You know, and that can lead to so many destructive things happening for you. The other thing is, I just want to talk about the statistics. About 80% of suicides are done by males. Okay. And about, I think what they say, a growing number of that is Black and Hispanic men. And the crazy thing is, we don't really pay attention to how long these men have been going through these things and how long they're holding it in to the point where they snap and then they're not here anymore. So it's just so important that I know they don't like to express themselves, but there has to be a way that they are learning, and obviously we support them in that so that they don't get to that place. I'm glad you brought this up. I'm not sure if everyone has seen, and probably so, because one thing that we do is sensationalize social media, right? Mm-hmm. This young man, well, I actually don't know his age, but I'm just guessing he was a young man, committed suicide in Atlanta on Father's Day. Jumped off of an overpass. Y'all, we don't talk about this enough. No, not at all. And I don't know his story. I searched high and low for his name, the backstory, what was going on. But there are videos circulating around social media, and the commentary on these videos is distasteful. Yeah. Like, he's holding up traffic.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's a lot. I mean,
on Father's Day, like, it's just not, it's astonishing. I'm not even surprised anymore. Yeah. about how much we do not care about others. And I'm not even talking about just men, but men really do get the brunt of it.
Yeah.
They get the short end of the stick.
Yeah, when it comes to expression.
When it comes to expression, when it comes to compassion, when it comes to grace, when it comes to forgiving, and I don't want to go on a rant, but stop being resentful to men. Fix whatever it is in yourself that you need to fix. Mm-hmm. Forgive them in yourself. Yeah. It's not when you forgive people, you're not doing it for them. You're doing it for yourself. You're releasing whatever it is that has you hostage. And that's not a debate. Forgiving, I'm not going to forgive them. We're not doing that.
Yeah.
Forgive them and let them live, because you are creating an environment, and I don't know your situation. I'm just speaking to whoever. You're creating an environment for this person that is killing them, either figuratively or really killing them.
Right.
I am compassionate towards men, especially Black men. My goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Because we just don't give them enough space. We don't talk about this enough.
No, we do not. And I think that we are at least trying to create spaces where this conversation can be had. And to be completely honest, yes, there's a lot of people who have been hurt by men or, don't have good relationships with them. So they are dismissive, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't really care. I've been hurt so many times. Why would I care about you? Why do I need to worry about your well-being? Peace. I don't give you no peace. I ain't got no peace in 20 years.
Right. Right.
And I think it's just more of a human right. Like, even if you take your own personal experience out of it and see it as someone else, I think that can open up. It looks like we have a caller. Hello? Okay. We're in the process of getting you online. Bear with us just a second.
Getting you online. 1 second.
Well, let me ask really quickly. What support do you think fathers need but really ask for?
Honestly, maybe the financial support. How hard it is to take care of families.
That's real.
Especially if you have a big one.
Hello.
It's a lot. I mean, I look at most of the men in my life and they seem to be doing well financially, but I'm pretty sure they'd be like, all right, I wouldn't mind some additional help up in here. There's some other things going on. So I think that is one thing I can, suggest.
Okay.
That they don't necessarily ask for, especially, and they're not really always programmed for that. I mean, no lie, I've heard some men ask for some money. Believe me, I will mute you. Get away from me. But that was in my old 20s. Ain't no man asking right now. But in my 20s.
Oh, trust, they're still asking somebody.
Oh, Lord, sir. But sometimes they do need it. Sometimes they do need it. And I think you should give it if you feel inclined to do that. But I think the financial responsibility can be a big weight on people. And I think that's why they took those balconies out of those hotels in Vegas, because of that. The financial weight of needing to have it and you don't. And then you feel like that is such an identity for you. If I don't have money, if I don't have the financial support, then I'm having, then that's a challenge. And we are trying to get the caller online. It looks like we got disconnected. So feel free to call us back in. And we'll get you in so you can hear what you have to say.
All right. So until we get that caller back, and I hope they are back, let's lighten the mood, because I put a damper on it. I'm so sorry. So I know we go from grilling on Father's Day, and my husband was like, I don't grill. I'm like, yes, you do, babe. You want to grill today, don't you? But we're going to talk about grilling and Juneteenth celebration and all the things that we're doing.
Yeah, it is so funny. I had to say, women are always in the kitchen. My grandmother cooked every single meal. What is it about holidays that men feel like, oh, this is my time to shine?
I won't complain, baby. I don't want to be in the kitchen today. All right. And we do have our caller back. Hello? Who is this?
Hey. Hi, Richard.
Hi, Richard. How are you? Okay, well, thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, we're happy to have you. Okay.
When they don't, I just say me. I don't express myself to other people because I don't want to feel
Mm.
and not divulge things about myself to other people. And it's been, I'm being honest with you, it's been times that I have thought about suicide because things have been going right with me in the past. But my only strength is in God, and He has brought me out of these depressive errors and stuff like that. But today, I really do appreciate what you ladies have said about men and asking for help and trying to get that help.
Yeah.
Really, I don't know.
Okay. Let me see if I can think of something really quick. If you have access to, do you have access to Instagram? So if you send us a message on Instagram, The Everyday Girl Show, message us and I can give you some resources. Also another thing that we can do is integral care.
Yes. Yes.
They are huge on mental health.
Integral care.
Integral care, and they cover the Austin area. You can call them up. You can visit their locations. They have different locations, and they actually are a hub of other resources. And there are actually some that are tailored to specifically Black men. So they'll be able to point you in the right direction. But I still want you to send us a message on Instagram, The Everyday Girl Show, and ask for those resources, and I'll get them to you.
Yes, yes. They have a lot of social groups as well within
Yes.
that. So even if you're doing it individually, they have some resources as well as groups of men to come in and kind of do like group therapy.
Yeah, you can do men's group. You can and just like talk about everyday life. And then you can do therapy if you want to. And also you can ask for a sliding scale. I know a lot of our listeners don't have insurance, but you can contact a therapist and ask them what's their sliding scale so that you don't have to pay that full price.
Right. Well, we appreciate you for calling in and sharing your story.
That's the Everyday Girl Show, correct?
Yes.
Yes. The Everyday Girl Show. Yes. Well, thank you so much.
Hey, young ladies, thank you.
Well, thank you, Richard, for calling. And I'm so glad that you have faith that has brought you through.
Yes.
And I am praying that it continues to do so.
Yeah. All right. Happy Juneteenth.
Oh, thank you. We will.
We will. Yes. We'll be here every
Thank
Thursday.
you. Take care.
Thanks.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Aw,
That was really sweet.
that
And
was.
I love the transparency.
Oh my goodness.
And the bravery to call into the radio and express how you feel. And also ask for resources. It's like, how do I do this? How do I get the help?
Because that is a big thing.
Yeah.
Is finding the resources.
The ask is the hard thing, but also like the bravery of saying, hey, I need this, and be receptive enough to receive.
Asking is so brave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is.
Thank you. Thank you again, Richard.
Okay, so back to the grills. What is the obsession with men wanting to
I don't know.
grill, and
But
y'all
listen.
don't even know how to boil water? Okay,
Oh
most
my
of y'all
goodness.
do.
Oh my. I didn't say it.
I'm just saying, how you on the grill and you haven't cooked a meal in the house? 2 months.
Well, I don't have an answer for that, but
That was a joke.
I don't have an answer, but my husband woke up a few days before Father's Day and was like, I want this. It was it's the flat top type grill thingamabobber.
Okay, yeah.
And so we go to Home Depot and pick one up. Now listen, this is like in the morning time, and he's like, I want this so I can make breakfast outside. Okay. So I'm like, okay, well, let's go to the Home Depot, which just opened up in Manor. Yeah. 6 minutes away. So of course now we have to find all the reasons to be in there. We go get this thing. Girl, we didn't eat breakfast until like 3 p.m. It was, I've already had breakfast, lunch.
It is a lot to
brunch.
I'm not even gonna lie.
But I don't know what it is about grilling, but I enjoy the fact that he enjoys being out there doing his thing. Yeah. I'm in the house making my famous macaroni and cheese. Nobody can touch it. Yes.
Girl,
yes, it's a challenge. You can try. But anywho.
But yeah, I think that's so interesting too, because I grew up, my grandma cooked everything, and I was like, okay, now it's, a holiday. Now we out here with the girl. Now, my husband is really good on the grill. That is, he's a good cook too, but that's the one thing I'm like, all right.
I'm glad you cleared that up, because when you said couldn't boil water, I assumed you were talking about him.
Well, no, I'm talking about the men who don't cook anything in the house, but as soon as the grill comes about, they're like, oh, that's me. I got my sandals.
Okay, so he can cook and he loves to grill. Okay, good.
But like, don't burn the meat. We need this. This is all we got.
Right.
All right, so I think that's a great opportunity for us all to get connected, and even on the grill or when they're doing the things that they're really passionate about, right? Like sitting out there grilling. Do you think that's a good opportunity for us to just walk up on them and be like, hey, how you feeling?
I think that's a perfect opportunity for me to stay away. I go and I check in and I say, do you need anything? Sometimes he'll say he wants me to sit out there with him. Yeah. And hopefully it's after the sun has set, okay? Because it's hot. But I'll sit out there and, it's a vibe. Yeah. But for the most part, I'm going to be in the house, giving him his piece. He has his grill. He has his drinks. Maybe a friend has come through and is sitting out there with him. I let them have their time. Yeah. But, to just make it a very good moment, because we're awesome ladies. Right. Yeah, we can sit out there and fulfill the whole vision of, got my grill, got my girl, maybe that's a thing. Is that a thing?
I mean, possibly. And I think it also, if you know your man or your brother or your father or your uncle, like, I feel like most of the time when they are grilling, that's their time, right? Like, I try not to interact unless it is like we're having a big barbecue. There's so many of us out, there's a lot of people around, but I don't know, that's like the perfect time. But maybe just check in with your partner, right? And see, like, is that a good time? Is that the part? Is this the time for us to have that conversation? You can kind of check in.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah. The mood is low. I mean, it's...
They're doing something they enjoy.
So that's when we ask for what we want. No, I'm kidding.
I love that too, right? Okay, they're wearing these shoes. This is a really good time.
I got you out here.
I was kind of thinking we needed to go on this vacation.
Okay. So using those moments to create real conversations, right? Not just good vibes,
right?
Okay,
exactly. Okay, exactly. So yeah, I think it's more of a touch in and see what the vibes are with them, because not everybody wants to talk at that moment, but I do feel like it's an opportunity. At least that's a present opportunity you could probably take them on.
I like it. See if I can dig it.
Yeah. Okay, so we talked a lot about emotions and men expressing themselves. What do you think that really looks like if we get specific, right? Like, what are we expecting to hear from our men when they are expressing? Like, what are some of the language that we can potentially give them to kind of like open that conversation up?
I think that's something that in the moment we'll be able to obtain. There's no perfect script that says, okay, ask your man this or ask your friend this. But I do think that in the moment it comes to you. But I know that emotional safety is happening with my husband when he gives me something from his past.
Okay.
Because we're now in a moment that you're telling me why XYZ has to do with ABC in the very beginning. Okay. So giving me a memory of, trauma. I don't really want to use the word trauma, but just something that shaped you as a kid. And, you're giving a reason for why you're evolving into this person that you are now.
Do you take those little nuggets where it's like, oh yeah, my dad didn't really do this with me when I was a kid, and you see them doing it with your daughters or something? Like, is that like a little nugget that you take and hold on to? You have an opportunity to talk?
Yes. I use, one thing I'm going to do is first go, oh, like, that's so sweet. Like, I'm very sentimental. So yes, I pick up on those things, especially when my husband is doing something with one of my sons. I'm like, oh, proud mommy moment. Oh, look at them. But then also, I know that he's healing a part of him that didn't happen when he was younger, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. And just to piggyback off of that, I think there is some words or at least some phrases that you can use outside of like, how are you
Give me
doing?
some, girl.
Well, I'm just thinking, like, obviously, like, hey, I see, you know, it seems like you're a little quiet today. They probably look like you're like, all right, I'm always quiet. But if they are not always that quiet, or you see them kind of in a moment or like drifted off, okay, check in. Hey, locking eyes. Seem a little quiet today. What's going on?
I think that my version of that has been, and you used the phrase earlier, and that's why I chuckled, is I think we need to have a come to Jesus.
But that always feels, I don't know why. If I say that, that feels like we about to have an argument. We need to have a come to Jesus moment, because what you said to me earlier, yada, yada, yada.
I think it can go either way, you know? No, I don't think that I have a particular phrase. And yes, you're right. The come to Jesus is, you know, a little bit more.
We need some help here.
Yeah, all right. Now, I tried it the soft way. All right. Yeah, I don't think I have. For me, I just always find the words in the moment.
Yeah.
Because it depends on what's going on. But I guess one thing I do is encourage rest, because my husband doesn't know how.
Yeah.
You know, this is an uphill battle for me. He doesn't know how to sit down.
Yeah. How do you get it? Because I will say things like, you want to fall out one day. Like, that's just more of a, this is what's going to happen. After I've said, okay,
so you're taking that route. Okay.
Yes, you should probably take a little sleepy baby. Okay. We're going to go ahead and take a quick little break, and we will be right back.
You know that I told my
Sorry
job
about that.
Chaz
called in.
Girl, I was dying. I just needed a drink.
Chaz called in and was saying some information about a men's group that he hosts or something.
Okay.
And was like, hey. So I was trying to do that and get the information so y'all could join.
Okay. Yeah. Now we have a whole segment that we are not going to get to.
Yeah.
So
and that's the one I typed the answers on.
So I'll come. So this is where you want me to come back with the breakdown, and then we go out.
Yes. When the break is done, you have roughly about 3.5.
I'll be celebrating Juneteenth at K.
Roughly about, I would say, 3 minutes tops to say, coming back in right at 55, the commercial's going to go off. 3 minutes, yes, to say the message, close, and then the last 2 minutes,
so I'm going to go and go to you. So I'll do the monologue, and then you give us the thing that you want everybody to take away.
Okay.
And then, are you comfortable? Yeah. And then we just do our
dying earlier. I was pointing to her coffee cup. I was like, I just needed
something on the fan on.
Oh,
I thought that you wanted the fan on too.
Blow my head.
Okay, and we are back. We're back.
Welcome.
All right. So just before we end for today, I can't believe that the show is already almost over.
I really want to talk about this some more, so we'll have to come back.
I have so much more to talk about. But it is time for Brittany with the breakdown. And today's breakdown is titled For the Men We Love. So you know what I've learned? Strength isn't about silence. It's about honesty, healing, and having the courage to be seen. To every man listening, you're allowed to feel, to rest, to say, I'm not okay, without shame. We need you here, not just providing or pushing through, but present, peaceful, and whole. So here's our call. Check on the men you love. Encourage real conversation. Normalize therapy, rest, and softness. And you're a man listening to this today, this is your permission. Choose yourself. Ask for help. And heal out loud. Because real freedom isn't out there, it's within. And you deserve it. All right.
I love that. That was beautiful. I just have a task.
Okay.
You know, I want my listeners to do themselves a favor.
Yes.
I want them to ask themselves, what can I do to help the men in my life? And I don't mean just the grown men. I mean the elderly men, the men that are in their prime, the teenagers, and the tots. What can you do? And take action on that.
Yeah.
All right. And I'm going to keep it short because I want to share something that's happening on June 21st, and that's this Saturday from 11 to 1 p.m. It is He Loves Me, He Loves Me Not, Father's Day edition. Thank you, Chaz Moore, for passing on this information to us. There will be light snacks, cocktails, and cigars. Ooh, gosh, I'm not invited. Gosh. Okay. And that is at East Pecan Cigars at 105 East Pecan Street in Pflugerville. Again, He Loves Me, He Loves Me Not, Father's Day edition. Saturday, June 21st, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. East Pecan Cigars.
Okay.
We'll post this information on our...
And this is a men's group?
This is for men.
Okay, so this is a men's group to come and connect with each other and have these conversations.
Fellowship. Please, please, please.
Awesome. I love you. Thank you, Chad, for sending that on over. Okay.
All right. And that is our show for today.
Yes. Well, I am Brittany Thomas.
And I am Jamiliah Pichelle Smith.
And this is the Everyday Girl Show. And lastly, make sure you follow us on our Instagram page. It is the Everyday Girl Show, as well as our YouTube, where all of our shows are pre-recorded and uploaded there. So if you did not get a chance to listen to the entire episode today, you can check us out on YouTube. Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you guys
This
so much.
was lovely. Thanks.
We'll
See you next time.
next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.